Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the home of the most competitive game coverage, most intense unit analysis, and the highest of high-level plays ever seen by two casuals who barely know where the rule booklet is. You're listening to This is for Worlds. Let us join Aaron and Phi and see what competitive topic is on the docket today. Hi, and welcome back. I'm Phi.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are This is for Worlds. So, we got a lot of games that we played in the last 2 weeks or so. But before we get to that, Aaron, why don't you tell me what you're currently modeling for Advantage over there?
I got a lot done the past couple of weeks. Since we last chatted, I painted up my Ahsoka for Legion. That was a bit of a pain. 18 Wookiees, three squads with all the upgrades for Legion all got done and painted. So, like, all my Legion backlog is done. And a couple models for Legion. Yeah, everything I own is painted.
Oh, I see we're stipulating here everything you own.
Yeah.
What about some Black Suns?
Oh, those I finished those in a previous podcast. We talked about that.
Oh, for some reason I thought when we were talking with the owner, I thought they weren't finished or ready.
No, he didn't have me do the bases because he had like custom molded bases, and he already painted all of them, so he's just gonna transfer them to there. So I mean, I wasn't gonna do that, but no, they're all done.
Oh, sweet. So the joke that I essentially made was, flat on its face and didn't work because I made the reference to him. I was like, hey, now you don't need to worry about those Black Suns because you can have 3 ATSTs.
I mean, that's if he ever actually gets a chance to play games.
Yeah, he keeps saying he's a gamer. I've yet to see the evidence. Maybe that's our contentious conjecture for the week.
Yeah.
Calling yourself a gamer, never rolling dice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
when
fair.
you put it like that. Never rolling dice, yeah. And a couple models for Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Uh-huh.
What were the two I painted? Oh, just some, couple random ones that have been sitting around I hadn't gotten to.
Nobody you actually want to play?
Just Deadpool. So,
because the faction fans probably don't
know. I just want to because for the way the factions work in that game, if you want to play in your leadership faction and not have to worry about going outside of it, even though you can, and that's like kind of a good thing to do because you can shore up weaknesses in your list with other selections.
Right.
But I just want to play X-Force, and he is one of, I think, there's only one other character I don't have that's X-Force. And they're utter garbage. They're like one of the worst factions in the game. But Cable's so cool.
Yeah, well.
So I was like, I guess we'll lean into it.
People keep telling me Jen is trash, and she's one of my favorite things to put on the table. So,
Yeah, don't listen to that meta garbage.
Hey, this is for Worlds. You have to. If you don't, you'll never win.
Yeah, that's true. What have you been working on?
Not models per se. More trying to prepare space and room for Nordic forces. We all know Battlefront has this awesome inability, we'll say, to get product out in a timely manner to places, but I have that rather decent sized order for Nordic forces for Team Yankee coming, and I gotta have somewhere to put it while building up. So a lot of it's just been going through cleaning up a lot of my storage area, because most of my Legion stuff is separated by squads in bags that mainly Imperial and Rebel that haven't been, or not Imperial, Gar. It's Rebel, Gar, and Shadow Collective that are still, like, some are mostly assembled in bags by squad so that it's easy for me to look at it and go like, oh yeah, I need to paint this real quick so I can take them to an event or something. But because they're just in those bags with labels on them, it tends to like overflow every time I go to dig through and be like, oh, I really like one of our new guys who got in. I had to go find, because I have a couple of the core boxes and a few of the Clone Wars boxes. I had to go find the Luke for him because he took a unique approach to how he was buying into the game, Star Wars Legion. So I was like, well, if you miss out, you do miss on this. So, let me hook you up with a couple things. And it's a Commander Luke. So it was, of course, on like the very bottom of the pile.
Didn't buy Corset.
Yeah, he didn't. I thought we've been over this. And maybe that'll be our contentious conjecture is like...
Oh, yeah, you hadn't mentioned that.
Yeah, it's like, buy whatever the fuck you want. Because, like, that's what he did.
Yeah.
He bought Indoor... I think he bought Commandos. His Rebel player, for those who don't know out there. Bought Commandos, Mandos, the Mando, Han... And I think that was really about it. And then he reached out to us on the store Discord and was like, all right, how do I build a list? How do I play this game? And we were all like, well, what do you have? And he was just like, this. And he was like, oh, I can't make any legal list for this. Here's what you need. Here's how the game is played. So the $2 miniatures that I bought from the store like a while ago, I was like,
yeah,
I'm not ever really going to field that many Rebel Troopers. I don't need them. I was basically just taking them off the store's hand and going to figure out what to do with them later. So I like donated the 2 Rebel Trooper squads, the Rebel Trooper upgrade pack, half of the Rebel it's like Rebel personnel upgrade expansion, something like that. The thing that's got their officer and...
Yeah, the one that's the same for everybody.
Yeah, but the store apparently didn't have the medic or the repair droids. It was only just the those two. They probably got cut up for terrain or something. So like I gave that to him to like get him started, and then like I went digging for the Commander Luke, because like I've got the special edition, I've got Op Luke, I don't need that one, so it was on the bottom. Made a huge mess finding it, and then like we were talking about how I need to kind of clean up a lot of stuff. Because I keep I keep my old sprues with parts, and not just for like miniatures, but for all the scale modeling I do too. And I'm like, I intend to clear this sprue of all things and put them in my parts wall so I can go through them later. And I never do it. Anytime I go to scratch build something or kit bash something, I just go straight to the sprues and I sit there like, as you did as a younger person, probably playing with Lego.
Yep, right through your boxes.
Yeah, rifling through the sprues, being like, what can I use this? Oh, this would make a really good, like on the back of my the orange truck, the one truck I've painted for Gaslands, is like a landing gear combined with a shield from the TX-30, but it's like a F-14 landing gear that I just cut and stripped and threw on the back so it looks like a turret. Stuff like that. And I'm like, it'd be a lot easier if I just put them in an organizing place. So, uh, since I want to retain and focus my like ADHD and push that depression aside for when Nordic Forces come out, so I can like mass assemble, actually paint all that shit. I've been trying to do what my mind is going to need to be done for when I start getting those sweet, juicy Nords in my hand, even if it's like one or two at a time. Like, I'm trying to prep myself.
If we get everything as we're supposed to receive it, I think you'll get it in like 3 big chunks, is what I was told.
Which I'm fine with. Like, that's also nice, I suppose.
Right, yeah, give you time to work through everything.
Hopefully I get enough to, like, play with, and because it would suck to, like, have, a third of it come in, but it's like, oh, one of your S-Tank boxes is here, one of your starters is here, one of your Finnish box sets is here, one of your Norwegian things are here, and you're just like, I can only play like a 25-point game with this because I have like Finnish, Norwegian, Swedish, and the Danish, and it's like, but I just want to put these on the table, please, please. I need enough.
I know they got to make it difficult for you.
I find it's entertaining. I have to say that, otherwise I lose my mind. How you sometimes just want to give people money to get the thing, and then they make it difficult to get the thing that you're trying to give them money for.
Right, and you're like, isn't that your sole reason for existence, is to produce this product and then allow me to purchase it from you? But apparently not.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not quivering over your price. Like, I've seen a lot of discourse in the Legion community this week about how much Ewoks cost, and I'm like, yeah, I paid that for 3 tanks. What of it? Fuck out of here.
Right?
Yeah, so that's mainly been my modeling for Advantage, is just prepping myself, because we are 8 days from the official release date here in the US for Nordic Forces, and like, I am just salivating for that. I need it. I want it. It is all I want to put on the table, despite how much fun I have been having in Team Yankee lately.
Well, I mean, yeah. It's just a different flavor of Team Yankee is what you want.
I mean, let's be real here. There's gonna be the same element in every list I build. As long as I can take West Germans, you know what I'm bringing.
The Wheelie Boys?
That's the French.
I'm gonna take your silence as a no.
I
have a podcast.
That's the French, man. You have a podcast. Come on. Who have I been playing essentially the last 2 weeks? Who's got my WhubWhubs? Who's got my Weasels?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the Weasels. That's because I killed them.
Yeah, how can you forget? It's literally one of the most memorable lines. Even one of our loyal listeners, Adam, had to comment at how just brutal that is. Where you're like, well, I'll let you say the line. You reenact that most painful.
Okay. I don't know if I can reenact it exactly, but this is my method whenever I feel like I'm losing in a game, and it's like, okay, I don't want to concede and make it not fun for my opponent. They're here to play too. So my goal is either to kill the one thing on the table that you have painted, or your favorite model, and it turned out it was going to be your favorite model, so I tried to murder the shit out of your Weasels.
And you did. You murdered them gloriously.
Well, not all of them. I just killed the ones with the missiles.
Those are my
ones with the little auto. Oh, is it? Okay, fair.
100%.
There were other.
100%. The little 20mm ones, those are, they're nice. They made short work of your infantry. We'll get into that game later because that was our first foray into 115 points. But yeah, so 2 weeks ago, kind of recapping our Team Yankee here, we did a 100-point Canadian, West German, American v. America. That game was, I don't want to say not fun, but it was just kind of brutal to both of us, to the point.
It was definitely eye-opening.
Yeah.
For list construction, anyway.
Yeah, neither of us got to use... Oh, no, I'm thinking of the other game. Because I brought the A10s. I never got to put them on the field.
Yeah.
So most of my list for this was like one battalion, I guess, of Leo 1s, one full setup of ADATs, so 6 ADATs, and then full flight of A10s, because I was doing the American support option to the Canadian forces, and then because I'm just addicted to weasels and sea stallions, I always take a NATO support formation of like False Grenadier, the Huey battalion that we fudge the rules so that I can take sea stallions instead of the Hueys and drop in weasels and stuff. This game we've got some pictures up on our Discord, or not Discord, the Instagram for. This was, I think, your first game really with the M60s.
Yeah, as like the core of my force. I had taken them a few times in the past, but it was like a platoon of 5 just to fill out points.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was oh gosh, how much was it? It was like 14 M60s, platoon of mech infantry, choppers, Apaches. I'm trying to remember what else it was.
You had the militia and the trucks that you weren't happy about.
Oh, yeah, I blocked that one out apparently too. Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, the Yorks. There was scouts in there, M113 scouts, I'm sure as well.
Yep.
But yeah, I have not played a single game with a single formation since that one, because I finally learned my lesson.
I mean, it's not terrible. I think personally, if you're going to take one of the single formations, you've got to take a mixed company, in my opinion. That way you can just round it out and fill it a bit more. I don't know about the Americans because I've not played or list built for them. But like the West German one, where I took the 2A5s and the Martyr 2s, which we'll get to, I kept remembering that you were like, so what is your formation? And I was like, oh, well, all this infantry is a formation. But everything except the tornadoes over here, everything else is a formation. And you're just like, yeah, okay, so that's not how I'm winning.
Yeah.
But
it was one too many times losing to morale rolls.
Yeah. Which I don't think was an issue in the Canadian, West German, American. I think that one was more not respecting the fact that you had 2 objectives you needed to defend. Do you remember the name of the objective we played?
It was Encounter, I want to say.
Something to that effect. Because you had like a 16-inch deployment, I had a 12-inch. We both got to set down 2 objectives. I set mine relatively close to each other, enough that the Leo 1s could cover uh, enough range that if you had moved in to try and take it, both them and the ADATs could just repeatedly lay down fire on top. But you kind of turtled in one corner, which is only where you had one objective, and the other one I was like, well, I can just land every sea stallion here, let my infantry slow crawl up to the objective, tried to dig in a couple times, they kept failing their skill checks, and then you just didn't have vehicles to move over and contest on them.
Yeah. It's just I played the Abrams so many times, and it just hurts so bad when the core you're forced with these ridiculously expensive tanks. Like every single hit hurts, and so my instincts is to just turtle and try and outshoot you.
Which,
and after getting, yep.
No, go ahead.
I was say, yeah. After the frustration of a bit of that one, I took 2 formations at M60s and went, all right, they're cheap, the gun's the same, and just went as aggressive as possible and just forced my opponent's rolls. And I guess we can get to that later, but
no, I mean,
diversifying a bit certainly helps.
Like, we can go into that game, because that's the game you played the same night, just against John. Because is there anything else? Because I think during the that game against my infantry, or not infantry, against my Sea Stallion infantry list with the Leos, I think it was a little eye-opening for you. Because usually, yes, your Abrams tend to steamroll my Leo 1s when I put them up in front of you, but I take enough of them that you can't realistically do anything about them getting to your side without reversing up to a corner and just trying to be like, please don't surround me. I hope I kill enough of you before you get here. So when you pushed out towards my one objective, it was only the ADATs that were really keeping me in the game and preventing it from going to a tie, because the Leos could not punch through the front armor on the M60s, and you just had enough of them that trying to maneuver on the side, it was either like going to an open field around the little factory we had set up, or trying to take the main road that would have split your forces. But my armor on the side meant like even your Yorks could punch through on the side without too much of an issue. Like, you'd be relying on the firepower roll. So I think like that was kind of your glimmer of like, oh, I've been watching my opponent do this to me, and I have the thing that can just do it right back.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't... I don't know, I'm sure there's some scenario where just turtling in a corner works, but being a little more proactive and just rolling with the punches certainly seems to...
Well, and what was the other thing you kind of... Like, you said it at the end of the game. You were like, wait a minute, is there a restriction to putting both objectives next to each other? And it was
I can't find anything that says... I mean, I would be kind of... I wouldn't purposely like stack them on top of each other. That just seems kind of like a dick move.
Sure.
But I can't find anything that says otherwise.
Well, and I only had mine roughly, I think it was like 14 inches apart. It was like just enough so that when you came down into that factory parking lot, I wouldn't have to suffer the 16-inch to hit penalty when you were at like an inch or two from the objective. So like, they don't need to be, like 2 inches from each other, but having one in essentially your left corner and then one, 3/4 of the board away from you on your edge with no one out there except for when you eventually rolled in your Wolverines, it was a little late because there were three full Falls Falls Grenadier that were already just sitting there on the objective. Like, come on, your militia is going to remove me? You can't even get close enough to contest. I have so many bases. So I think ultimately that was it, because realistically the game just kind of ended at that point because you kept trying to roll stuff up, but the Milans were just ready to fire, and then the Weasel Toes sitting in the tree line just kept popping everything that you had that came up. So I don't think there was a lot to that game. I think our third Team Yankee game was a lot better. But if you want to discuss your game with John, I don't know what he played, but I know you told me after that you just like the M60s hit the right spot with you.
Yeah, where it's on multiple levels too. Like, I find them aesthetically pleasing. I like the way they look. I like, it's the like right amount of tanks for the kind of game I thought this was, where it's like, sweet, I can take a bunch of stuff, I can have a lot of toys, do all the things, where they hit relatively hard and they have, I would argue, decent armor as armor goes in the game.
Hold on. I mean, you say decent, but you have fought my AMX 30s, my Leo 1s, and your base is 15, right?
Front armor 15, yeah.
That's pretty good. Like, I haven't played enough of John's Russians to know really what they have. Did he play Russians against you? Do you like remember their armor values off the top of your head?
Enough to be frustrating. Because they have like the perfect combination of like it's 20 and a 20 gun or something like that. 20 armor on some of them. Granted, they are more expensive, but yeah.
I think your M60s
it's really hard though.
Yeah, I think your M60s are like just in that perfect little spot where you can bring enough of them to pretty much deal with a lot of other swarm, but the swarm, if they don't have something that can punch up, doesn't really do well against it. But continue with John's game.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly his list. I know he also took a lot of infantry because he wanted to play a VDB list. And he made the mistake of that I'd made in the past. Because basically I was on the same side of the table, and there was an objective on my right flank, and I ran up. I think it was a scout, an M113 scout, or maybe a platoon of tanks. Regardless, and there was his commander, and he was singled out as his own base for that formation. Right? He wasn't like in a big blob, and just like all the machine guns killed him. When he went to go make his rolls, the entire formation folded on morale rolls, and I think he conceded. Because I probably had lost a third of my M60s, and I had 14 of, no. 14, two formations of 7. So, platoon commander, and then 2 platoons of 3. And each formation had a M113 scout team that basically put all my heavy armor up front, and then like the supporting things I had were in the back just hanging out. I had some arty that time too, didn't do a ton. But I was just able to get up in his face, and it's like he didn't have a ton of tanks, and I was threatening all of his objectives, and I was like, you're only, because almost all the Russian tanks are only rate of fire 1, even halted.
Right.
I was like, dude, your max shots are 8. So at best you'll wipe half my tanks, and then I'm gonna shoot you 14 times. And I still have scouts, and I have arty, and I had a platoon of infantry babysitting one of my objectives.
Nice.
So, yeah, they definitely put some work in. So
They definitely put some work in our game this week. I would probably say one of my favorite games of Team Yankee that we've played so far. I don't know where it ranks
yeah,
for you.
it is probably my favorite just because eventful things happen for both of us. We both got to, deal some big blows, feel like our stuff was doing their things, but it wasn't at the expense of the other person getting to do the same thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes like that was awesome. All my stuff worked, my strategy was effective, my tanks performed. But that was because like, I don't know, my opponent's dice rolls sucked and they just folded and nothing happened. Like it was a real slugging match, and it came down to, and looking back, like you had pointed out, it was more of a draw than a loss. If only because the way the table was set up and distances involved, and I think the fact that I did take 2 formations helped. I didn't feel the need to really put my formation commanders out there.
Right.
Like I felt that those points were worth protecting, and it didn't feel like a waste not having them contributing.
Yeah, so going into our third game of Team Yankee for the past couple weeks here, I was playing full West German 115. I took the squadron that allows you to take 3 Leopard, 2 A5s, 2 sets of Martyr, 2 Spa troopers. Inside that, there was a small squad of Fuchs with infantry. I took 3 Gepards. I took 4 Red Eyes. And then 2 Rolands were my support. A full flight of Tornadoes were support. And then, again, because I am just addicted to what we have so lovingly dubbed the WhubWhubs, for when my Sea Stallions hit the table and just wub 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 as they come in, drop off all the infantry and tow weasels. And this is the first time I put the 20 millimeters on the table, because we played 115 points. I was like, this is a very well balanced, in my opinion, and rounded out, and I had no idea what you were bringing. Do you remember the breakdown that you brought?
Yeah, I just brought up the list really fast here.
Very nice.
So it was similar to what I took against John. It was 2 M60 combat teams, each with 7 M60s and a 113 Scout, 4 Yorks, militia minus the trucks, full flight of 4 Harriers, 3 or an M113 mech platoon, and then 3 M1 Abram, the IPM ones, mostly because I needed points to fill out and I was running out of models that I wanted to play. So that was everything I took.
That was an excellent list, and you also kind of discounted in your kind of your breakdown of like what you liked about the game. It wasn't just table setup. It was both tactical. I think I'm the only one that had the one tactical. Everything else was like a beautiful mistake on where our corpses died. Like me moving the Fuchs out to like just block the road and be like, you either kill them and still can't go around them, or they're just gonna sit here and block it anyways, and you're like, well, screw it, we're gonna take the points or whatever. Because we played Annihilation, admittedly, I screwed up setting up the table. I had forgotten that the game's on a 6x4, and I got all excited because I wanted to put out a snow map because Nordic Forces are releasing soon. And so I took like 2 Legion 3x3 snow mats and dropped a bunch of stuff on. And then like you looked at me and were like, "So what are the edges?" And I was like, "What do you mean, what are the edges?" And you're like, "It's just sand." And I was like, "That's not the table space." And you're like, it definitely is." And I was like, "Ah, shit." I forgot. Oh crap. And you're like, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. We're just gonna do it. We're gonna do it live. We're gonna fucking go to town." So shooting definitely happened right off the bat, and it was a little contentious who got to go first. And I think this is a perfect time for us to bring up, I don't know which one of us sold the soul to the devil, or what pact we made by accident. I don't know if that...
So, quick aside.
Yeah.
My Marvel Crisis Protocol game I played, so when you roll crits, you get to roll extra dice for each crit, right?
Yeah.
First attack my opponent made against me, 3 crits into 3 more blocks versus my opponent's roll of like 6 hits off of 4 dice because of his crits. Like, it was perfect and obscene, and I was rolling ridiculously hot, so I'm pretty sure it was me.
Oh, so you stole...
I'm going to pay for this stuff.
You stole all the dice differentiation, and so
yeah.
What weirdly happened to us, and if anybody out there is a mathematician and can like figure out the math and shit on how this worked out. So the West German, Canadian, American v American game, you and I rolled off to see who got like attacker defender. Do you remember the numbers?
I think it was 1 and 3.
Yeah.
But it was like 1 was 3 times in a row we rolled the same thing.
Yep. So we're sitting there and we're like, all right, roll. And it's 1. And we're both 1. So we're like, okay, ha ha ha. This is funny. We're getting this out before we start rolling dice, and then do it again. And we're like, haha, that's kind of creepy. And you swapped out dice, and I did not swap out dice for this one. We both rolled 3s, and I was like, alright, I don't know what's happening anymore. So I swapped dice, and you swapped dice again. We rolled the 1s, and we're just like, I don't know what's going on right now. This is kind of creepy. And then, what was that, 5th roll, and we finally get something different, and it's like, woo! Alright, it's not a simulation.
Take the spell.
Yeah. And then, didn't you say, like, the same thing happened with you and John, with, like, almost the same numbers?
I think our first roll off, we both rolled 1. And I looked at him and I was like, you don't understand.
I've been here before.
But this is deeply bad. Something is going on. Luckily, the second time we were fine. But, it happened a few more times across games I played to the point where I was like,
yeah,
double digits in 7 days,
and
like half of the doubles that were rolled were 1s and 3s.
And not only that, it literally happened again when we sat down to play this game this week, and we made the joke ahead of time. We're like, ha ha ha, we're gonna roll the same numbers again. That's real funny, ha 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 ha. And then like roll off, and it's like, are we possessed? Is this actually a simulation? I don't know what's happening anymore. It was very creepy. I've never, had that statistical anomaly occur before, where you're just like, I don't know, because we kept swapping out dice, we kept doing everything, and it was just like, blam.
The same number over and over again. Like, I've had it happen before where roll off for first turn and we roll samesies 3 times, but it's a different number every time.
Oh fuck! Did you check the Powerball? I know the 1 billion pot. The numbers were drawn.
I didn't win. That's probably where I expended all my luck. I could have.
Yeah, but
I could have been too good for this podcast because I won billions of dollars.
Were the numbers like different combinations of 1s and 3s, and we just were too stupid to realize that the universe is trying to tell us something?
I'll have to go back and look, but I don't remember it being that way. I don't know if I want to know.
If it was, that is even more ridiculous, and I hope the double dice rolling stops. So anyways,
I'm afraid.
go ahead. You're afraid?
I said I'm afraid to play games now.
Oh, shut up. Uh, so anyways, we after we do all that because we rolled annihilation, so we learned pretty quick that like you're just going for it. And we both kind of realized that with my screw up on the table size meant first turn was going to be very, very firepower heavy, and you wanted to be the first one, even if your strike aircraft didn't hit the board. You won the roll off,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a combination of you had great rolls and I blocked, or you just didn't get through. Because I don't think like anybody really died the first turn.
No, I mean you were getting hit for the most part, all on sixes too,
True.
because you were concealed and on the ground.
Yep.
I more wanted first turn because we were doing meeting engagement, and in meeting engagement you alternate placing units, kind of like Legion. So I wanted to be able to get first turn so I could move things that like, oh, I got to put something down. Oh, now I don't want that there.
Right.
So I was happy enough at least to. I was like, I just want the moves.
No, I wanted to shoot first. Like I wanted to be able to move the weasels into a spot uh, a little bit further than where they were. I wanted to put the two A5s in a better spot. I wanted to shoot first. Like that's what I wanted. Um, so your first volley was just like nothing really happened, and then my turn, nothing really happened except the first screw you for the game. I get my tornadoes to come in. I have
Yeah.
like three of your M60s lined up with three of your Abrams, and I'm just like, if this goes off and does even half decent, that's a serious chunk of your like armor that I don't have to worry about, and then the weasels can just pick apart the rest. And I was like, all right, we're taking a huge risk because your Yorks are pretty much the center of the field, so there is nowhere I can deploy them on the table without, eating the shot. And the couple pot shots I took at them to try and reduce your AA did nothing. So
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, let's see the dice. You rolled, because you're like 4 or 3 for.
Yeah. So they're 4 on the move, 7 stationary.
Yeah.
But I only had 2 that could see, so it was 14 shots.
Yeah.
No, it was only 8 because I was treated as moving in my previous turn.
Oh, that was gross.
Yeah, so it was 8 shots.
Yeah. And all of them hit.
Mm-hmm.
I failed all of my saves, and then we watched as every one of them fell to firepower, and I was just like, sweet, that's awesome.
I mean, you got some revenge later.
Yeah, the exact next turn when you attempted to do the same thing with your Harriers, you're like, ooh, this is perfect. There's Gepards here. There's 2 A5s. I'm pretty sure you could have tagged the 2 Martyr 2s that were sitting on the corner, and you lined up the shot, and even before you placed them, like, I know we kind of joke that you and I barely know where the rule book is. We're both somewhat experienced war gamers.
Yeah.
You measured from like every trying to place to be like, okay, if I go here, it's Red Eyes and Gepards. If I go here, it's Gepards and Rolands. But like either of those where you were trying to limit what was shooting at you, you're like, oh, if I go over here and fight the red eyes, maybe I get a couple red eyes, but I'm not doing enough for the firepower. And if I go over here, my infantry hadn't fully disembarked from the WhubWhubs yet, so there was no good spot for you to drop it except for on my heaviest units. So you came in, the Gepards did the exact same thing to you, and then we were like, sweet, neither of us get to play with aircraft this game.
It. I mentioned, granted, your Gepards, they can shoot tanks too, right? Or they can they're air and ground.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, but your list, that was one thing I felt like it was balanced, but it was definitely heavy on AA options anyway.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about it at the end of the game where I was like, yeah, the only reason, like, I knew I wanted to try the red eyes, and I brought the Gepards, only, like the red eyes and the Gepards, only because they were a part of the formation. The Rolands, though, I was like, I just have points, and I don't know what to do with them, so what...
I'm used to playing at 100 points, and suddenly I have more.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what, we'll just chuck the Rolands in there, we'll bump up the flight of tornadoes, hey, we're at the point scale, let's do this. Because I did that, I didn't have enough room to bring the Sea Stallions for the Weasels, because, like, to bring all the Weasels I brought, I would have had to have brought 4 more Weasels, or 4 more Sea Stallions, so that didn't quite work out. But once the aircraft went down and negated our ability to kind of take cheap shots, because, I mean, let's be real, if you get decent salvos off on, you know, the top of Abrams or 2 A5s, there's not a lot they can do, and they just die. So you can, like, wipe out a full tank field with, what, 8 points? Whatever the fighter flights are?
My 4 were only 6 points.
Yeah, I think my tornadoes are 8. So it kind of, like, evened the field.
Yeah, I was gonna say they were only 4+. They were 4+ to hit, I think, on mine, and 5+ save. So, like, after the fact, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. They are really, really, really cheap.
That's pretty much exactly what the tornadoes are. So once that was down, and we're like, there's no easy way for us to clear out, you know, the most heavy stuff. Let's, you know, start the slog. You pushed your again, pictures are up on Instagram, so if you want to, like, go look them up and kind of follow along with us, it's the snowy map. So you took what's generally going to be oriented in those pictures as, like, the up position, the top of frame, and swung down the center road, kind of spreading out, using the center road as your firing base, and then coming out to my side of the table for flanking. And it worked really well. I kind of did the opposite, except with infantry. So I took what's, you know, typically the bottom frame in those photos, just spread out, and then just slow marched infantry through the buildings, shooting at whatever they could get. Minor distraction when your Wolverines popped up without the trucks in the back. But ultimately, you killed all my martyrs, all my weasels except for the 20 millimeters. Some of the Gepards, I think all the Rolands, all the Fuchs, like everything. Say again.
I think I popped a couple red eyes as they did a drive-by. Or no?
Oh, I think you did. It was just less important because when I looked at their stat card, I was like, huh, they can't assault. They can't shoot
Oh
the
yeah,
ground.
yeah, AA or nothing.
Yep. So I was like, they're whatever. And you didn't pop the Fuchs, so like that gave me the brilliant idea that once your M60s rolled down that main road, was to park both my Fuchs in front of the Abrams. My like real fear going against my 2A5s, and like they just sat there blocking it, but your stuff died in between the buildings. My stuff died in the tree lines so that you couldn't drive through those. And then there, if we realistically we could have played it since it was a 6x4 where you could have drove on the quote unquote sand around.
Yeah.
Sure, could have been a thing. We were self limiting because I screwed it up. Um, and so because of that, like we're duking it out. There were some misplayed rules, like I didn't realize when you move within 4 inches of a transport helicopter, it takes off, but that meant I could then use the machine gun. So we weren't like too fret about it. Plus, your Yorks were like eating up the spas. And then trying to get side shots on the Leo 2s. So you like never really cared that the Sea Stallions were on the other end of the map trying to mop up your Wolverines.
Yeah, I'd kind of just given up that half at that point.
Yeah.
I'd lost my tanks that were over there. And the Wolverines were really just a Hail Mary to try and snipe a commander.
And I think you almost got him. Had I not saved, because like when you pointed it out that I had counted up the leader squad wrong, because like still getting used to, like I fully understand that my West German formations are generally separate, but when I bring stuff like the Fuchs, it gets weird to me because it's a multi-unit. It's a multi-model unit, so it's got the infantry and the stuff there. My Canadians do similar stuff, so I'm always just kind of like, what actually gets assigned to the shots? Because you're targeting the unit. Luckily, I saved everything, so we didn't have to like roll back and reverse when we talked about it, and be like, oh, roll formations for the entire Hilo German infantry, which would have been bad. But your infantry in the factory was disgusting. Like they didn't do a lot of damage, but they just sat there and like kept me from getting to your tank commanders.
Yeah, because they were essentially holding
That corner.
yeah, almost the whole left side of that half of the board.
Yep.
Because of the way the terrain was.
Oh, I forgot. They didn't do nothing.
Yep.
They killed the martyrs that tried to sneak around
the
edge. Yeah. Tried to sneak a couple martyrs past the factory. Your anti-tanks just popped them like they were nothing.
I wanted to get some cheeky shots in on the your Leo commander.
Yep.
The like super good, high AT gun, high armor tank was right there, and I kept thinking my AT on my infantry portable anti-tank stuff was good enough to threaten him because like he's right there.
Yeah.
And that's a formation commander, and if I can force some rolls.
Yep.
But yeah, no. I was like, no, that's not how the math works in this game.
Yep. But they instead gunned down a lot of my infantry, the martyrs. If we had decided to play it out, they would have probably gotten the 20 millimeters as they drove down the road. It was just a brutal, brutal fight to the point where when we were kind of like how do we score? Neither of us could get any real firepower to each other's commander. Like, where everything died, it was blocking roads. Alright, I think he's calmed down. Fuck, I normally don't edit this, I just fucking throw it up, but guess we're just gonna do that. So, where were we?
Shit.
Oh, we couldn't get enough firepower on each other. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't fucking edit.
Nah.
Yeah, so we couldn't get enough firepower because when we looked down and we realized your dead M60s were blocking a path, that maybe you go through a wall, maybe you get some infantry through the factory, that would work. Except I could not dislodge your infantry. And every time I fired into you, you lost maybe 2 squads. And every time...
Yeah, I think it lost 3 total over the course of the game, maybe 4.
Yeah, meanwhile, you shooting down into the one building I was in, and, you know, me moving across the parking lot trying to take the factory, I was picking up like 3 or 4... a turn, and I was like, these numbers are not working out. And so I tried to send martyr support, and you were just like, no 50mm for you. And then my weasels were in the one forest that could have given you a clear path if you could check it, and same with me, but you nuked them, so they were blocking the forest. Your M60s and a York died on the main road, so that was blocking. And then that your M113s died on the secondary road between 2 buildings. And then 2 of your Yorks died on the only other passage from the main road to your side of the field. And both of us kind of knew what we were doing. At the end there, but like where they were dying was just kind of lucky, and nobody recognized what happened until we were like, all right, how do we actually win this? And then we were like, oh, I think you win because of what you've killed. And I looked down and was like, yeah, you've killed a bunch of stuff, it's just on the table. And then I realized there's no way I can physically get to your guys, and there's no way you can physically get to mine. Like, sure, I can load up into the helicopter and like fly over to you and drop off, but all you have to do is zone me at that point in the like one area that I could land the WhubWhubs, and I can't land them, and there's nothing an MG's gonna do to you. So at that point we just decided to call it a draw because there was no way to get effective firepower on each other's formation commanders and actually end it, so...
I found it to be, actually, though, despite being a draw, what you might think, I found it a very satisfying end, because it was kind of like... I don't know, it felt like we really earned that. Both sides earned the draw.
I also...
Some by like, oh, my shit died in the way, oh no, I totally did that on purpose, and some on purpose stuff.
Yeah.
But...
I definitely think that game was you and I understanding a lot better how stuff needs to maneuver, how stuff needs to be placed, where do you set down X, Y, and Z to, you know, consider objectives or cover firing paths, because there was no good options for either of us. Like, you did not want to go down to the main road because that would have forced your tanks 2x2, and there was a Leo commander on a perfect Overwatch perch just being like, yeah, no, come down that road. I'll throw 2 dice at you. No cover.
And even if, because of dice rolls, you were only killing 1 a turn, there was nothing I could do frontally.
Yep.
Because you're like 80, or your front armor's like 21 or something. Or no, I think it's 20. I think it was enough such that if you rolled a 1, it would be a bailout. but that was the best I could do.
I mean, I guess I could be professional and also look up my list because I really enjoyed that list and will probably play it again. Oh no, it's gonna make me log in. Um,
Yeah, no, I do remember that I was like, oh, I can at least force a bail check because that did happen once. I think I got one tank bailed out.
that was not the Leo Commanders though. That was the
No, no, it
Martyrs.
was just, oh, that's right, it was the martyr. Okay.
Because we had to also look up the rule on a double bail on the one team of martyrs, and that's where I was like, he's gone. Like if you double bail him, they're gone. So you kept bailing the martyrs. It was the Leo commander. You just like kept staring at him and being like, even if I get in your side, he's got that heat armor. There's nothing I can do to him. So he was just
What it was? Yeah,
yeah.
I was hoping I had side shots with my infantry,
Yep.
but I was like, oh, you're because of Chop'em armor, you're 2 points higher than my AT.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I was just sitting there staring at you like, yeah, no, I'm going to put this commander in your face and he's going to overwatch the main road and you can't get him because your only threat to his sides died trying to take out the AA so you could get a Harrier run. So I think you and I have definitely started figuring out both what we really enjoyed putting on the table and what works for us, and the flow of the game. And someday we'll be cool enough to learn assaulting.
Yeah, I've seen the flowcharts people make, and it just doesn't look fun.
I mean, there were so many opportunities, and I just kept looking at you like, I'm too tired to learn that tonight. Like, I don't want to do
All
it.
right, but if you keep taking that much infantry, you're gonna have to learn.
No! You could just kill them first. I hear that works wonders.
Yeah, that's true.
So, those are pretty much our Team Yankees.
20 bases of infantry. It's a lot of shit to kill.
Yeah, that's true. So that's pretty much our Team Yankees for the time. Do you want to cover your Marvel Crisis before we move on to Gaslands?
Yeah, I'll do it really briefly. Played X-Men. My preferred faction is X-Force, other than despite them being garbage. And there's a lot of discussion, or there's like a general consensus that the X-Force leader Cable is overcosted for what he does. And what you think he should be doing, he's far too fragile to do, because he has some protection abilities. And I was like, you know what? He's got a really good gun. He has one of the best throws in the game, I would argue. Throwing's really good in that game because it takes out half of the randomness for rolls, right? Like, I roll to attack, you roll on defense. If I throw something at you, I just go, oh, okay, it's size 3, +1, it's 4 damage coming at you that you have to defend against. So it's really reliable because it's for sure at least the 4. I don't have to worry about a crappy roll on my half.
Nice.
And since his throw is, he pays power equal to the size, generally it's like, pay 3, throw size 2 or less, X distance, and he throws at medium, which is the middle distance for movement in the game.
Sure.
I was like, my goal is to, every time he activates, is double shot throw if I can, and I had like 3 or 4 turns of doing that, and yeah, I was like, okay, maybe he's not the leader, but he's really good because he's also really good in X-Men, which is another really good leadership. It's not like, Storm's kind of boring to play. I don't feel like her suite of abilities are super cool or impactful, but her, basically just because she's like, Storm, weather, everybody always gets cover in that game, provided you're not within 2, which is like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of how big the ruler is. Like maybe a 3-inch distance. If you're not within that distance of one of my people, when you shoot, I always can convert a dice to be a successful defense roll. But that was also the game where I was rolling ridiculously good. But that also broke a dry spell of, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks of, granted they weren't all consecutive weeks, but 4 or 5 weeks of play of at least one game a week where I was just like, yep, got stomped. And I was like, okay, I needed that.
Nice.
So yeah,
Well,
but that was the only other game I played that didn't also involve you.
it's because we're attached at the hip.
A little bit.
Yeah, and I'm kind of excited to talk about our next parts,
Yeah, Gaslands.
Gaslands, because you and I are homebrewing the teams as we've mentioned in the past. The ultrasonic experience with a couple different band types that you can play as, and you got to play one of them twice. I was unfortunately unable to make it due to Washington State ferry service just being absolute crap and delaying as awesome and often as it does. And then I got to play my one of my other creations this week, and I think you have the same complaints for that I have in my EDM team, but I think the rock and roll team that I played yesterday was spot on for Death Race, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So
definitely. It seems like EDM and heavy metal are more for not the racing missions.
yeah, and do you want to go back and discuss the first time you played heavy metal, or do you just want to cover last week's heavy metal?
I was to say we did cover the first time I played it.
It was so
already.
long ago. My brain is fried.
Yeah, no, I had to think about it when you sent me the message going over what we were talking about. I'm pretty sure we did that. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't really remember last week all that well. I'm gonna be really honest.
I know we tried to do the snow mat.
Yeah. Tired of the same terrain.
Yeah. I don't think you really got to do what you wanted to do in it. Like, I don't think Mosh Pit, even though I was there, ever set itself up for you.
Yeah, definitely they're more for demo derby where you have a big scrum in the middle, perhaps, of everybody all over the place.
Yeah. I know I brought a box standard sponsor because I knew that you were playing heavy metal, and I was like, I don't really want to necessarily test them against each other yet. I just want to see how they work, because I think your heavy metal team would actually like go well against my rock and roll team, but the issue was just like Andrew murdered me really quick.
Yeah, it turns out he found a warden combo that's really good.
Yeah, and even though, because I can't remember the name of the team, but it's the one where they get the audience votes for templates being removed for dropped weapons.
Vernie,
there we go. It was like the first time I played it, and it was like right up my alley. I had a lot of fun with it. I did a lot of dropping of stuff, but Andrew just shellacked my units. My poor little vehicles. I only brought 2. I had enough audience votes, but like I just looked at the mat and was like, there's no good spot or time for me to respawn. I just out of ammo. He had one car that was still behind the first gate. And I think I only made it past the first gate, and so having to respawn there each time, that by the time we made it around again, I'm pretty sure he was like far ahead, and I was like, there's no point to me even respawning now, because I had to make that call and wait, which, happens in Gaslands. Sometimes you just get the raw end of the dice, and there's no good timing, and you get to play like one round, and you get to watch everybody else have fun.
Yeah, I mean, life is pretty cheap in that game.
Yep. Because he definitely ran away with it. I remember he took you down pretty good too. you kept looking for that opening in Mosh Pit, but I think there was like only ever one car near you, and it was just like it's not worth it to do my thing. So
Yeah.
didn't get to experience that one as much. But the one that we played yesterday, simple mat, kind of the fish, like drive straight across, turn left into another one because the gates are set up in a box pattern, and then drive across to the other gate for the finish. I thought we had to do another loop, so
Okay.
I didn't think I was that far ahead until everybody was like, no, 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 that's gate 4, that's the final. You're literally about to win.
Yeah, that I like Gaslands a lot, but I've come to the conclusion that the game can overstay its welcome. If it drags too long, it doesn't equal long games don't necessarily equal fun games.
Right,
Like it needs to be high octane. Like it's demolition derby.
right, and that's why
Stuff happens done. Yeah.
that's why a lot of our games where we play with Sam and Albert, and we laugh that like we never make it to the first gate, and the person that does survive to the first gate is generally our winner because there's so much mayhem and stuff. But like what frequently happens is even with the new experimental rules, where you can like wipe out and you go down to gear 3 and you lose all your stuff. Well, I wiped out in 4 yesterday, and had to spend an audience vote to even get my leader to go, and then still couldn't do anything. And so they're like those turns where you can only watch somebody else go. And I don't think that's necessarily a product of Gaslands. I think that's just a product of Death Race. But not every other mode in Gaslands is that amazing either. Because like Albert and I provided you the feedback the one time we did the tournament, where it's like that capture objective where you like essentially just have to like run over the flag. It's like, well, the first person who gets there can just do U-turns because of the placement restriction on the objective. You can basically just hairpin into it each round. And it was just kind of like stuff like that is where it doesn't encourage interaction. Is kind of like my okay, I don't know if I can pay attention to this anymore. But the times that it like goes, I'm super like, this game's amazing. I love it. I want to do more with it. I want to homebrew stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of them I wonder if they're better with multiple people with one car.
Sure.
So you can't really protect you can't have, the one person carrying the flag and then have a bunch of other blockers, that kind of thing. So it adds to it being a little bit more crazy. So.
Well, and that's something else that I was like looking at the game and like, yeah, I'm totally happy I won. Ish.
Mm.
The performance cars slip away is stupid. Doesn't have to be just a rear end. It's like anything but a head on, and you just get a whole nother activation. Like that's the only reason that team won. It's not the homebrew, which the homebrew I played was rock and roll. The way the points break down in Ultrasonic Experience, I was able to take a performance car with Wrecking Ball, because the meme of singing Wrecking Ball is fun. I I forget what the other. Oh, it had rams on the sides, and Chrome Whisperer. And I forget what the perk I put on it, because Rockstar or the Rock and Roll has Daring and Reckless, and then I just took two cars with Wall of Amplifiers each and Hog Wild each. The ability for the Rock and Roll is like Frontman is one, so you similar to, was it Highway Patrol, where you pick a lead. You pick your front man, and your front man has the ability that when they attack, any uncancelled hits allows you to remove that many hazards from essentially your groupies or your band members, however you want to see it. But if the leader is attacked and there's uncancelled hits, the groupies or the band members get the hazards instead. And then they have For the Band as one of their abilities, which if the leader is the target of an attack, a ranged attack, a shooting attack, not rams, not like melee or anything like that, if a groupie or other band member is within a short, they can be declared the target instead, even if it's not legal to be so. So, like, they're outside of the template field of view. It's essentially like they're throwing themselves in front, and then they have to, after the result of the attack, they have to perform a wipe check and go from there. And then the final one is anytime the front man passes a gate, doesn't matter which gate, how many times, what direction. Like, you can sit there and do donuts on the gate if you want. You get audience votes. Not as broken as I was thinking it might be. That needs to be toned down. Because ultimately, if you try to rack them up that way, your opponents find you an easy target. It played really well in Death Race. Slip Away is stupid and broken. I'm just gonna say it. Like, I played it, I did it.
Yeah. Especially once you realize you can slip away yourself.
Yep. And I did that. I set it up once to where, like, haha, I'm just gonna do a short at the start gate so that the person behind me doesn't have a choice. They have to rear end me and I get to go again. But then the turn that helped me win, I bopped myself and gave myself a second turn and was just like, I don't like this. This is cheesy. This is not as fun. Like, there wasn't the chance for interaction as much because I kept slipping away. So I think that's another one of those, like, teleporting monster truck things that I'm like, I'm just never gonna take that again.
Yep.
But I love the team. Like, I had a lot of fun with the team, even though you weren't able to, like, I don't think you ever actually got hit results when you shot at the leader. But
no, because my car that was closest to you, I also had a performance car.
Yeah.
All the points were dumped into making it really good at going fast and racing.
Yep.
And then I always make 2 points to add the machine gun on the front because it's modeled that way and I want it to have it.
Yeah.
And so, like, 2d6 and it's only a 50% chance to hit, combined with, you were usually going fast enough that you were probably going to save on at least a 5+.
Generally.
I mean, hard to actually deal some damage.
I liked the tactic of the groupies did not try and go with the rest of the race. Like, they never actually passed the first gate in order to trigger their Wall of Amplifiers weapon. Because of how you had it set up, I sent one to gate 3, and then I just stalled the other one out in the center of the mat so that after the front man did the one loop, uh, all three of them would have, like, he'd pick up the first one, and probably the second turn would pick up the third one after the second gear round, and do that. And the interactions were cool, were fun. I think Andrew got to trigger the like hazard thing once, which was really cool and caused one of my guys to wipe. Didn't really get to test the shooting ability, but the only reason I got that far out ahead was because I kept, getting the ability to just slip away. So I just need to not take a performance car again. Or just like stop using it.
What perk classes does that play? What does that one get again?
Daring and reckless. There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's almost enough such that you can just take a car and just stack it with upgrades.
Yeah, I mean,
instead,
I was considering it, and admittedly, because I've only been bringing the toolbox that's got only a couple cars in it, not the whole game bag that's got like all my cars. When I built the list, I thought about what was in that box, and it was like 2 Michigan style cars, a Land Rover, a Dodge off-road truck, and the Plymouth Superbird, the Hemi Cuda funny car, and the like Nissan like modified, I think it's 720. I forget what that one is. But like I just looked at it and was like, what can I actually represent and have it make sense? And I was like, oh well, the Nissan and the Cuda are white. The Superbird is orange. That can be the front man, and it'll be super easy to distinguish, and people will know, kill the front man, essentially. So, like, that's how I built it in my list, because, like, when I sat down, I was like, ooh, I want to put the truck on the table, and then I was like, didn't build this with the truck. Didn't do that. Should have probably done that. Oh, well, too late. Let's go. Let's roll some dice. So, had a lot of fun. Had a lot of laughs with Andrew. I like Gaslands. I really do. Sometimes, like, you hit the nail on the head. It has the moments where it's just like the fun is now gone because I can't go for 4 turns, and I have to watch you do this, and that just means you're gonna be like 2 turns away from a win. So let's just call it here. Congrats, you got it.
Yeah. Was that all our games? That was a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, that's all the stuff that you and I played together. I know before the podcast we kind of talked about, like, do I want to talk about the Legion? Because, like, I haven't been doing a lot of modeling lately, but, like, I have just been getting in all the games. We kind of talked about one of our new guys, Link, who just, like, bought all the things that he liked and was, like, just getting into it. So I've done demo games for him, and then because we were doing that, we had a couple newer guys who like been around the community for a little bit, but haven't had the opportunity to come in and get regular games, show up to kind of like get more casual stuff because they don't really want to do, or not everyone wants to do the 3-game tournaments. So been getting that in. I have this wonderful little Legion list that shouldn't work, and I know I just sat here saying I've been playing newbies with it, but it doesn't matter because there's like only one offensive powerhouse. It's Rebels. It's 9? No, it's like 8 acts. It's not even a 10-act list. It's 8 acts because it's veterans with the big gun, Mark II, rebels with a rebel troopers with a shotgun and a specialist, Ahsoka, Jin, two full Pathfinders, one with Biston, one with Pow, and the X-34 land speeder with Shriv, and
Ahsoka's in there.
yeah, I said Ahsoka. Somehow I'm looking at this and my fingers only go up to 7, but I'm pretty sure it's 8. So
Don't you have a couple rebel troopers with shotguns?
it's only one.
Only one?
One rebel trooper with a shotgun and a specialist, one veteran, one Mark II, Ahsoka, Jin, Pathfinder 1, Pathfinder 2. Oh, I think I didn't count both my Pathfinders and the X-34. Yeah, so it's 8 acts. It's not even quality 8 acts. Like, most people will shit all over the Pathfinders. Most people will shit all over Jin. Most people will definitely shit on Rebel Troopers with a shotgun and a specialist. It is just my fun list. It is my OSHA list, because it's my Ferrix Rebels. So they're all done up in, like, metal cutting work safety gear. So, like, lots of yellows, lots of orange, gonna be bright greens for, like, high-vis stuff. And I'm playing a lot of, like, high-wound Wookiee Gar, a lot of fire support Gar, and it's just been, like, people discount what Jin does, and basically she token generates for Ahsoka, and does some party tricks that people are like, shit, I didn't know that was a thing. Because that's what I played when we were doing... It's the same list that I played for the people who have buys in our tournaments. Like, I've been playing this list a while, not just against our new community members. And I'm just like, this shouldn't win. This should just get annihilated every time it's on the board. Because it's 8 acts, white saves, 1 offensive firepower, couple little bit of tricks, but mostly it's just meh. And it's been doing really well in our local community out here. So I've been just having an absolute blast. And I can, like, when I tweak it for skirmish, like, I effectively only have to drop the speeder and one of the Pathfinder squads, and it goes, like, right to 500. So every time somebody's like, I only have time for this game, I'm like, I'm playing what's in the bag. And they're like, I only have time for this skirmish game. I'm like, I'm playing what's in the bag. And that's it. And so I've been playing it for a long time, and I love this thing. And someday, if I ever go to tournaments again, like, I'm just going to keep playing this. I know I'm a droid player at heart. I love my CIS. I've always loved Jin, though. Rogue One, my favorite. Andor, my favorite. This just, like, fills me with such joy to see painted on the table, and everybody looks at it and just, like, what do they look like? They're men at work. Why are they, like, safety guys? And you're like, because that's what they are, and they're here to kick your ass with OSHA violations, so let's go! Yeah, playing lots of games. Hopefully we're
excited about Legion.
Say again?
It's nice to hear someone so excited about Star Wars Legion.
Ah, dude, come hanging out with people who are just learning the game and, like, getting, you know, super excited seeing their stuff. Because, like, we mentioned it, Link, literally, I think he originally didn't have much intention on playing. Was buying the models because he thought that they looked cool and he wanted to paint them and stuff. And then he found out that there was a community here, and just kind of like, I'm going to jump into the community and see what happens. And then just found a bunch of people with open arms being like, yeah, no, we'll totally get you help set up, understand the rules, how to play, all of this. And now he's just like, seeing that joy on their faces of like, this is awesome, this is cool. as opposed to like sitting down listening to a podcast of people who analyze every single detail, not just of like the game stuff, but like the company stuff. And I appreciate it. I enjoy it. I consume it. Learn a lot from it. But a lot of the times it's not necessarily the most positive. So just being with the community members, be it Legion, the people that I teach Armada, when we are having a blast at Gaslands and, you know, getting new people to come join us like Andrew, Team Yankee, Victory at Sea, all of that stuff. That is my shit. Seeing people be happy, doing the things and building friendships, that is just amazing. And currently, Legion is doing that really well for us. Ewoks coming out this weekend. A lot of people are excited for it. A lot of buzz. A lot of people are super happy about it. So, yeah, man. Hang out with us in the newbies and just leech their joy until they find out, like, wait a minute, you mean this ISP is not actually that good? It can't even go over terrain? My Gav tank can't even clear a fucking barrier? What? And you're like, yes, I have soaked all your joy. Now you are with us. Like, enjoy it while it lasts. And then find new people and bring them in. I think I just ranted for like 15 minutes there. Or not even ranted, just stream joy.
Enthusiastically pontificated, I guess. Something.
Well, shall we end it there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, are you going to cut me off? Should I keep talking and give you the opportunity for?
I gotta say our unofficial tagline and then cut you off if you keep talking.
All right, well, we'll continue. Yeah, go ahead then.
Going game.
Goodbye.